Hello, 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 and welcome to this final boss fight live stream and podcast of the Council of Tamrinor. My name is John, and I am joined by Sean.
What? How dare you, sir? I've never done such a thing.
And by Ben.
Hello there. It's good to see you. And this time you can't see me, which I forgot as I'm staring into a camera.
We are using experimental new technologies to communicate with each other and hopefully mean that you guys get an excellent sounding podcast out of this in the end. Or it's going to go horribly wrong and we're going to cut out the audio at some point. It is a beta test. We'll see how this goes. Tonight, we are attempting to do... Well, we are continuing our world building. And step tonight of the world building. Last time, we named the months of the year, which we have named after the various gods, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got six gods that we've named, and 6 monthly gods that we have not yet named, which I have now put into our note-taking over in my Obsidian tracker here. So we've got each of the months with also which festivals take place in them and which gods they are named for, and which month is both previous and next in each thing, so that it's all linked up in the web.
Yeah. And it's looking pretty damn cool at the moment, I've got to say that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm loving this program, just literally watching it grow. Such a different way to build, I've got to say.
It's really good for doing this, and it's really good for keeping track of keeping everything together.
And for those listening on podcasts, it's Dotty! And we're connecting the dots and they look beautiful. But they haven't made a shape yet.
Also, hey Tanny in the chat. Yeah, the music in the background is, well, for the stream, it is Lo-Fi Girls summer music, and for the podcast form, it's I Don't Know Yet.
It's killing in the
I
name
love
of-
that song. Oh, I don't know yet. No.
We also named the days of the week, which we decided were named after the heroes of Tamrinorian history. So Eric has the third day of the week named after Eve and I. He's called Even Day. Mira has Mirror Day. We decided that Tak doesn't have a day of the week because of his origins. We do, however, have Krim, who is celebrated in the coldest times of the year. In the last week of Droth's Claim, we celebrate the festival of Krima.
I wonder where we got that from.
No idea. No idea.
I think we actually got it from the Red Dwarf, you know.
Yeah.
No down, remember.
We have the Ember Day is the 7th day of the week, and that is named for Emberwolf, the ancient avian hero for whom the Emberwolf archives are named. Then we ran out of heroes that had previously been named, so we have Ka and Trogak, who have the 4th and 5th days respectively named after them. Whomst we have no idea about, and that's wrong, and so what we're going to do today is come up with their stories.
Whether they like it or not.
whether they choose to or not, they are getting tales told about their powers, their grace, their adventures, virtues, and other good things. I have to hand, and we're going to utilize some of these. I have my ultimate RPG character backstory guide, because we're going to be making backstories to RPG characters.
What?
Well, whoa.
And I also have a pile of cards entitled The Deck of Stories.
I had a pile of crap.
Nice.
Neither of these are sponsoring us. But
Why, John? Why?
because we didn't ask.
Oh, that's a fair point.
I don't see that as an excuse.
Sean, I think you've got a little bit quieter.
I have, because I've moved my laptop further away, so I had more room for things and activities.
What? I actually no, I don't want to know.
So I'm gonna just flip through. For a start, let's begin with car. Mostly because that's the one I've got open on the thing at the moment.
I was gonna say, and it makes sense. Makes sense.
I'm going to look in the character backstory guide, and I'm going to flip to the very highest level sections. Let's have a quick look. Let's look at 206. Page 206 is monuments. So for Tanny has highlighted a message in the chat saying, "Did everyone hydrate today?"
No. Moving on.
No, I dehydrated.
Yeah, I ate just a load of sand and ash.
Oh dear.
I just laid out in the sun, which was very impressive because I don't have a place to do that.
So, so for Car, one of your character's deeds has permanently shaped their world. Anyone who gazes upon it understands it as the work of an unfathomably powerful being. Start by choosing some facts about its nature and relationship with the world, then answer the following prompts. So we get to... The idea is we choose two of these facts about it, and then there's a series of questions to answer.
Right.
Okay.
So the facts are, and we get to pick two of them, for whatever Car's monument is. It can be seen from miles away. To this day, scholars still debate about aspects of it. It possesses properties that make it valuable to ordinary people. Some groups make pilgrimages to visit it as a holy site. It has been incorporated into a larger memorial. It fills some people with a sense of dread or fear. It will stand for more than 1,000 years. It is a testament to your great power, or it is a testament to your undaunted virtue. So Carr has done something that has permanently left a mark.
The immediate thought which jumps into my head is effectively blocking off a passageway that a force could have been coming through. So I'm thinking through the mountains or something like that, but there would be a distinct passageway which he blocked off, moving what would seem to be an immovable boulder or something like that, and crashing it down. You can even throw in that the scholars have been debating as to whether or not it's the act of a demigod or whether it's just an act of a very smart hero, because no one really knows. These came at a time before the records of Emberwolf came to be.
So one of the facts is, so I'm just going to write monument, and then fact one is to this day scholars still debate. I can spell words.
No, you
About
can't. Don't lie to me, John.
Of it.
To be fair, I'd like to also sort of throw that in for Emberwolf, just for the sake that when it came down to Ember was the one who brought in records in the first place. So all the stories of Ember before Ember came are basically handed down stories. So scholars once again would argue about that one as well. I don't think this is something which we should add to all of them, but for these two at least, I feel there's
I feel that that's a separate thing, because this is specifically talking about this monument.
Oh no, I grant you on that
person.
side of it. As I was saying, it's more for the sake that obviously Emberwolf, if Emberwolf had a monument, it'd be all the libraries.
It's the libraries.
Yeah.
And the
But
secret society with his name.
But as I say, when it comes down to that, it's just I feel like anything which is known about Emberwolf is effectively always debated because no one is entirely sure. That's why you can end up with the secret societies and the libraries. I know that I'm getting off track of Car, but it's one of those points I want to get it down here before I forget it as we come by later.
Right, I'm just going to make the note there that early records are unclear because the archives didn't exist yet.
Because I literally want to have as. It's one of those bits where I just want in this world to have literally the solid point which no one debates as to when the records began.
So, what is the second fact about Car's monument?
Once again, going with that aspect which I was sort of throwing forward, I do like Tanny's suggestion there, effectively almost like a wall. That it's something that can be seen for miles around. Not necessarily something which anyone gets close to, considering that that's where the enemy was coming from, so maybe a theory of what's behind it, but it's like a giant wall which has been created. Where it was started off as a boulder, but has now ended up being reinforced and whatnot.
I'm also wondering, do we have it? It has now been incorporated into a larger memorial for, say, the fight that it
That
was
would make
a part
sense.
of.
I'd go with that one over.
Yeah, I think that one actually makes a lot of sense. That does go along with it quite nicely.
It's like he did this thing to block them temporarily, and then it's been made into a large fortification.
Which I could imagine literally starts off as something small, as nothing more than other people just grabbing what they could and slowly building up against it, and then they literally built the monument around it. So, people still to this day taking stones every now and again.
So the first question, and this is going to be easy, what does it look like?
A teddy bear. No.
A mountain pass which has been blocked with an impossibly large boulder.
And that's true. You could actually have that. That'd be the reason why they end up making it as a memorial around it. Say his sword got stuck under the boulder or something like that. A little piece literally got stuck underneath. It could be like our version of Excalibur. No one's ever going to be able to sort of pull it out, but it's there.
Rumors say that his enchanted armor / sword / shield
/ MacGuffin
are buried there to this day. Do people live nearby, and is it some place that can be easily reached? No.
If there's, I would say no. Yeah, when it comes down to it, if there's a threat of enemies coming from the other side, probably wouldn't be living near there. And
people don't live near it.
I'd also add in that the access points of it should be difficult. As in, this is almost like the 300. The only way to get through is that little short, tiny funnel-in section. This is the reason why it was such a advantage and a point to take out. As if like knocking out a bridge. This was not an easy place to go, but it was the only way through.
What sort of relationship does the average person have with this thing? They don't go there.
No.
I would say they don't go there, but at the same time, I can imagine, should we have gyms or anything like that in this world, that the monument effectively be replicated in them? This was a monument to power and strength, which saved so many. So it is something which is emulated later. So when it comes down to it, no one goes near that place. But as memory, they sort of use them where they train. Yeah.
I realised I haven't turned on... Oh, we're not on Discord, so I can't share my
We're
screen
not on the
with you.
Discord. Because I must admit, I was thinking the exact same thing, and this is the reason why I've thrown on Twitch. One, it gets the views in. Don't tell Twitch that we do that. Two, so we actually see the screen as well.
Was the day that it was created particularly momentous?
In this case, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
actually,
Tuesday.
maybe not. There's a chance that it might not have been, and it might have been done something before they came by.
I imagine it was like...
I liked the idea of it being effectively as the army's coming through and managed to stop the full force coming through.
Yeah.
But they had
think it's
a
very much
manageable...
that.
Because that has a lot more of a heroic sort of sound to it. But once again, no one really knows. The true history is hard to say.
But, I mean, it's also... We've named a day after the week after you.
Yeah.
We know about you. We know about your adventures because, you know...
And that just sounds
if
like a
we
story
didn't,
told, yeah.
why the hell have we named a day of the week after you? We've not named Steve Day because of something that Steve in accounts did. It's literally named after this guy, so
Hey,
he has...
Steve made a phenomenal sandwich that day, John.
But, no, you're absolutely right.
We know that
like-
he has been commemorated.
I kind of like that idea of that the armies are on their way through, and he, instinctively or in belief, saw there was a rock or a formation that, if he just moved, could crush some of the army, would block some of the others, but would stop the full force from getting through. And throw in a perilous journey of having to fight off the few as he's making his way up the mountain pass. Maybe he didn't even survive, or is presumed not to have survived. That's the reason why it is believed that his armor, his sword, shield, whatever it is, happens to still be underneath that boulder. But the last thing anyone saw was him fall as the rocks fell. So it becomes almost that point of sacrifice.
Oh, preventing the blocked forces from passing through and...
Oh yeah, I kind of forgetting that side of things. That you're trying to type this out as I'm sort of
Defenders
piling on as much
made
information.
manageable. Fight. Okay, we can skip that one because that one is obvious. What did you do to change the land? You blocked the pass.
We put some flowers down. It was very nice.
Conveniently, the next one is: has nature embraced the monument or rejected it?
Ooh, that is a good one. They were saying it's around the mountains, which we've said beforehand is usually quite void of nature. In which case, if you really wanted to make it seem like there was a reason why they built around it as well to make it a monument, you could end up saying that even against the odds, against all possible thought, that yes, greenery has started to grow and bind it stronger, almost as if the gods were saying that they agreed with what was done. But it seems to be the only greenery throughout the scape of the mountains. Well, at
Greenery
least
appears
that's
to be growing and reinforcing the blocked pass despite a lack of greenery to be found in the mountains. Leaving some to believe a godlike power is looking after the pass. When you look at this monument, whom or what do you think of?
I hope Car.
Car, the enemies, the just decided upon God. We've got some options there.
The other side of thing, when it comes down to, you've got Car, you would be definitely thinking about Car, you'd definitely be thinking about the enemies on the other side. There's a chance that even Car had his own little team of sorts and all that sort of things, with Car and like Jason and the Argonauts, or something. Maybe he had his own little... We could come back to that.
I mean, he's sort of, yeah, he's got a 300-ish vibe about it, of like...
Oh god, yeah. It just feels like this isn't his story. This is the end of his story, in my feel. That this is the reason why they named so much after him. This is the reason it became the monument. This is the reason. Because he went against the undeniable odds to something which other people, their whole belief was everything piece of peace they had was going to be ripped and torn in front of them. And yeah, let's face it, you take a look at this monument, you're thinking of Car.
Okay, we're going to go now to Trogak.
And I'm going to give the lead over to Sean on this one because I've just been babbling on and stealing all thunder.
Sean.
What?
I've had a look through and I've just picked the next prompt list is hangover.
Give me a few drinks, I can sort that one out for tomorrow.
Trogak lost a powerful artifact at some point last night. Retrace your steps to reclaim what is yours or his. Many things are possible about last night, but since you were drunk, you don't remember any of them. Perhaps you met a powerful being akin to a god, you visited another plane, you destroyed something extraordinary, or your lost item dramatistically changed something while it was gone.
Yes. It did all those things and more.
Sean, could you roll me a d6?
D6, thank fuck for that, because that was apparently the dice that my dice pouch was going to give the most of today. D6, 4.
On this day in question, Trogak woke up in a jail cell surrounded by guards. After checking your possessions, you find that you are missing an immensely important artifact. This is extremely distressing because you get to choose 2 of the following things, Sean.
Right.
It was entrusted to you by a dear friend. It is needed for a monumentally important ceremony. It has the potential to destroy the world. You will die without it, or you have need of it very soon.
I will have need of it very soon. And I've forgotten most of the rest of them. I think one of them was that it will destroy the world. I feel that would be.
Well, it had the potential to destroy the world, which
Yeah,
makes it a lot worse. So, one, you need it, and two, it can destroy the world. That's good choices.
It can save the world, but it's also perfectly possible to destroy it.
okay. Roll another d6. Or the same
Another
d6
one?
again, you know.
Another D6, John. God damn it, it's a 5. When my alarm's going off. 5.
You notice that you have an unexpected companion. This person speaks to you as though you have been friends for years.
I don't know you.
Companion who speaks as if you have known each other for years.
Yar.
I mean, this is the ultimate evil who's accidentally turned good just by drinking too much.
You just got pissed and you turned the big bad into a hero. It's a twist on the Knights of the Old Republic storyline.
He's not a big bad. He's just Sanguine, the god of debauchery from bloody Skyrim.
Retracing your steps brings you to an unsavory corner of the universe, the sort of place most people avoid at all costs. You don't remember being here, but the creatures who frequent this place eye you with a sense of familiarity. What does it look like?
What does it look like?
What does this unsavory corner of Tamrinor look like?
It looks. I'm seeing rundown, like very rundown, like just like shacks and huts, and they're all ill kept, and it's damp. It's like I'm feeling swamp. I'm feeling swampy. It's like damp and stinks, and it's like I said, dilapidated and run down, and yeah.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to finish typing this bit in, and then I will read you the next question.
And then you'll do a little dance. Stay tuned, everyone on stream, for John's little dance.
Law says hi from the bunk bed prison.
Law is the person I found in my sack.
Who is in charge in this place of swamps and shacks?
Who is in charge? That would be. That would be. Lord Grom! He's not actually a lord, but he calls himself Lord.
Lord Grom?
Grom. Grom. Grom.
He isn't really a lord. He just calls.
Insists that he is. Insists that everyone calls him Lord.
I'm going to also add Lord Grom as a.
As the most important characters will drop.
He's been added to the chart now.
And there he shall remain forever. You
Uh,
can never remove him, John.
another D6, please.
Another D6. God damn it. That was janky. 6.
After talking to someone who had a clearer idea of what happened last night, you discover what happened to the artifact. The only way to get it back will be traveling through time.
Oh God.
Yep. That's
To pass your history final, you have to go back.
Welcome back home, attorney.
How does your new companion, who has known you for years apparently, prepare you for this task?
So how does this companion that I woke up with
Yes.
prepare me for traveling through time?
Yes.
They gave you a cheeseburger.
Must not plagiarize Bill and Ted.
I was thinking as soon as I said it, this is going to be Bill and Ted, isn't it?
They provide me a mystical telecommunications device.
They
A mystical sending stone.
provide a mean. My strange companion provides me with a mystical way to travel through time and reveals they know me from the future.
Yes.
That doesn't break space-time, sure.
And by the way,
Unless you do it the other way around.
You owe me $20.
Unless you do it the complete other way around, that you actually know them from the past. The information was back there, but it's been lost to time. But you are now the one who controls the time, so you now go back into the past.
They know me
That's
from
why this
the
person
past.
has had to wait the entire time for you to meet them in that cell. The one time when you told them that that's where you first meet.
It's got very time traveler's wife all of a sudden.
It has. The only reason I'm doing that is just to say that there's a paradox there, but at least it loops at the moment.
Roll another D6, Sean.
D6.
One final
3.
D6 for this one. 3. In your attempt to reclaim the artifact, it actually lands in hands that are more trustworthy than Trogak's.
What? How can you think
Oh.
that my horrible clawed hands?
I would love for it to end up in Emberwolf's hands, just to say that it's now archived. Just no one knows that.
Trustyworthy hands than mine. As you and your collection of strange creatures that you've met on this journey share a drink, what do you think Trogak has learned? Apparently not drink a lot of stuff.
Well, that'd be the
What
worst
might
one if
you-
this is the drink which he had, which then started the hangover. Did the whole thing again.
Well, so what have I learned from my time traveling, going to shit places adventure?
Yep.
I
Yep.
have learned that I should really drink more.
I've learned that I should really drink more because it leads to
more adventures.
these crazy adventures.
And that
I would love
is
to
what-
throw in
and
one
that
other
is-
side of
and that is what Trogak becomes known for, having ridiculous adventures while drunk.
I do like that. I like the other side of things of him effectively as well having that I really shouldn't hold any powerful artifacts and should go on many drunken
And
adventures.
I should
So basically, it's the
not
whole point of
be
really shouldn't.
trusted with world-ending artifacts. I feel that we need one last thing from this story. What
And
is
that
his
is?
unexpected companion's name?
Well, I mean, we already had someone say hi from bunk bed prison, so it must be Law, obviously.
I would
See?
say as well.
This is
There
what-
is another
this is what you
question.
get. This is what you get for fucking contributing, Law. You get...
Oh, it decided that we
It's
actually
Lord
meant
Rom again.
Lord Crumb.
Lord Grom! It was Lord Grom all along.
Okay, we've added the character of Law.
I would like to ask another question when it comes down to this, because it says right at the start that it's an important artifact that you will need very soon. Why did you need it?
For it was needed to seal something away. What was it going to seal away? Seal away a beast that had been terrorizing the land.
Okay.
Right, with that, I think we've neatly made it up to the time when Sean needs to disappear and do laundry, correct?
I'm going to do the earth-shattering importance of laundry right now. So I'll be back in like, I don't know, a couple minutes.
So Ben, I'm going to turn back to you as lead storyteller for a moment.
Right, you are.
Would you like to tell a tale of Emberwolf or Krim or King Casimir the Fourth?
I think we'll go for Emberwolf. Emberwolf is an interesting one.
Okay. I've got my deck of story cards, the deck of stories, and I'm going to pick you a random story. So I've shown you these cards before, but they each have a prompt on them for a segment of a story, be it beginning, middle, or end. And they also have a couple of questions to probe some details out of you about that particular event in the tale. So what I'm going to do is just shuffle through them at random and draw to get... Oh, there we go. To get a starting card. Oh. Well, this is an interesting start, Ben.
Okay.
Your paladin receives a vision from their god while visiting the court. They need to kill the king.
Okay. That is an interesting sight, which I would imagine would be incredibly troublesome for the sake.
So
Are
my
we
first
forcing
question
them that?
is:
Oh, yeah?
Is Emberwolf the paladin, or is Emberwolf traveling with the paladin?
I'm going to say that Emberwolf is the paladin.
So, while visiting the court, Emberwolf receives a vision from their god. They must kill the king.
Can we adapt that last part to they will kill the king?
Yes. I will also have to adapt the question.
Okay, that's fine.
But I can adapt the question.
It's the only reason why I ask. If you couldn't adapt as I said, no, we'll go with the play, but still.
So the question that it asks is, will they do it? So my question is, instead of will they do it, my first question is this an intentional act or an accident?
I believe in my mind that Emberwolf is given a vision that he will have to take an active part in killing the king. Not sure as to how or what, but literally sees that he has to kill the king. It will happen.
The next question is, what are the repercussions?
The repercussions from this vision is Emberwolf basically exiling himself or themselves. I don't think we've actually decided anything. So themselves.
He has been referred to as a him.
Okay.
Previously.
I couldn't remember whether we had or we hadn't, so I was just playing it safe. Yeah, so he exiles himself so that he wouldn't ever have to or wouldn't need to. As he believes the king is good.
So is this King Casimir the Fourth, or a previous King Casimir, or a differently named king?
For the sake, I'd actually kind of like to tie it into the fourth King Casimir.
So it will be King Casimir.
I'd like it to be King Casimir.
There we go, we've got people crossing over there now.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's a nice little crossover to have, once again, a king which is highly revered, and Emberwolf immediately starting his whole thing just for the sake of, I have to kill the king. Or no, sorry, not I have to, I will kill the king.
Okay, I've got an interesting mid-beat to this story.
Okay.
While in exile, Emberwolf encounters a glowing ball that brings people back to life. The life they remember is not the life they left behind. I'm going to write some of that story down.
John's going to write in his diary.
Norton 42, it is story time.
Uh-huh. Can we adapt that to encounters a ball that is acclaimed to return the people to life? Because unknown. In which case, I believe the Emberwolf would test it. And upon testing it, realize that it does, but they have no memory of their past life.
Dear diary, today was a good day.
Okay, so the questions.
Papa and I picked wildflowers. Sorry.
Do they remember their own life but differently, or something entirely different?
They look back and try, and with pain, great pain, they can gain fractures of their past life. But beyond that, these small specks which their mind hurriedly wraps back together as best it can, it is not the same story that they have lived. It merely has flashes of inspiration from their past that they have done.
I got most of that.
As long as we have the essence, I suppose it's to keep up. We're not actually writing the story, so
Has
that makes things a bit easier.
has someone else's soul entered their body?
I would say no. If they're getting fractures of their past, no.
Okay.
It's almost like it's not. It's like their soul is trying to reconnect, but it can't fully. Oh dear God, we could be creating an interesting version of the undead. Oh, we could actually create an interesting version of the undead.
That is not a ending. That is not an ending.
Then when it comes down to it, you could create a version of an undead which holds elements because their soul is semi-attached but not fully, whereas the other undead, like the walkers and such, because I know that people don't like the Z word, like the walkers and such like that, might very well be fully gone, so their soul is no longer attached. It's literally just a meat puppet moving around. These ones are different because they hold some form of intelligence. Yeah, kind of like the Reborn, yes.
Okay, I'm going to just organize these cards a little. These ones can go over there because we've used them. These ones did not work, so they can go back in the deck. Okay. While continuing to be in exile, we get to the conclusion of this particular adventure in the life of Emberwolf. A noble requests a meeting. As you enter his estate, he casts a spell that causes you to pass out. Are you now a prisoner?
I'm going to say yes.
Should you trust this noble?
Also, yes. I'm going to say that this noble has done this by the request of the king. Been on a very long, drawn-out series of events which have been happening, and we've all been going around and collecting as much information as possible. But it's only been captured for the sake that the king has made a request to see him once again, to pull him out of his self-imposed exile.
King Casimir wants to stop the self-imposed exile. Return Emberwolf to the court. And then I'm also going to go down to notes to expand. Undead with souls still attached. PC race. Okay, Ben.
Yeah.
Couple of questions on that one.
Yes.
One, R. Norton in the chat asks, has the king been trying to get him back via less kidnappy methods?
I'm going to say that, yes, the king has been constantly trying to get Emberwolf back. Emberwolf is meant to be a symbol of high intelligence, and once again, these stories about him are hard to say whether they're truth or fiction. but the king has been constantly trying to get him back. He was a high intellect of his court, and to lose him is to lose massive insight that others cannot replace.
Personally, I just find it hilarious if this was like his first idea. The only.
My first attempt is just go
Are you
straight
sure,
to the
my liege?
kidnap.
Are you sure? Are you sure kidnapping is the only? It's the only way.
I also think that this is also not the first attempt to kidnap him.
This is just the first one that works.
Exactly, the first successful one. Once again, really embracing and sort of amping up that Emberwolf was a smart person. He was able to see tricks and trades, especially ones which were not aimed to actually cause him harm. They were literally there designed to make sure that, no, you're going to be safe, but we need you back. But he so threatened by that fateful vision has desperately stayed back.
My questions to expand on this. What is the glowing ball called?
I'm going to call it Vorfir.
I am going to ask you to spell that.
So, VOR.
Yep.
THIR. Vorfir.
Vorthria. So, while in exile, Emberwolf encounters a glowing ball called Vorthir that reportedly returns people to life, but the life they remember is not the one they left behind. With great pain, they can gain fractions of their past life, but it is not the same story as that they lived. So, my next question. Who is the noble? What is the noble's name?
I am going to say that it is Lord Garrett of the Hitherland.
Lord Garrett of the where? Sorry.
I'm going to place it down as the Hitherland, which is a land which they refer to themselves. It's basically the land which has been given. He called the Hitherland for the sake of the grassy side of it.
Hither land.
That looks good to me.
Excellent.
I must say, didn't have spelling in my mind. Literally just had a name.
Well, now it's got spelling in it. Sean.
What?
I like that a lot, by the way, our Norton. Not constantly offering, they're just not happening.
Would you like to tell us a story now, Sean, about King Casimir or about Krim?
Kind of expected that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I offered it to him. So, the story begins with this story card. Krim. Get into the mind of Krim, Sean.
Krim. Bloodthirsty.
A fallen hero's ghost gives Krim one final task. He must return the hero's lost sword to his home. So Sean, I think you were away when I started explaining these cards to Ben.
Probably.
So I will explain them to you, and I'll explain them to the chat again. And if you're listening in the podcast, you've already heard this bit. But hey, it doesn't hurt to hear things twice. This is a deck of cards that has a story prompt and then a set of bonus questions about that story prompt. They come in multiple types, much like the Betrayal at House on the Hill cards. They are marked as either opening, resolution, opening, revolve, or conclusion, or orc. So they are designed to either be the beginning, middle, or end, or can work for multiple segments in the story. So the opening, a fallen hero's ghost gives Krim one final task. He must return the hero's lost sword to his home. Probing question the first, Sean. Who has the sword now?
The person who killed the hero.
Derek.
Is there a dispute over its ownership?
No, the person who stole it from the dead hero is mine. So there's no real dispute.
No disputing, just it ain't his and he can't keep it.
Can't give it, he's him. No. He's a bad one.
Okay, I'm going to just shuffle through the cards and find you a middle to this story. So as Krim sets out... Oh, and that's not really connected. That can go in that pile. As Krim sets out to recover the missing sword and to return it home safely, you also find that a treasure has gone missing from a locked room. So is this the villainous killer of our hero has locked the sword away and it has gone missing from the locked room, do we think?
Yeah. Yeah!
That'd be an interesting one. You put it into a museum and someone stole it from there.
How was it taken?
It was the room was broken into and nicked. It was
By another thief. So I'm going to say that the second question on here that is the treasure still secretly there? No, somebody else has pinched it.
No, it's been fucking nicked. Weren't you listening?
Let us find the conclusion to this tale, where hopefully we get a bit of story that neatly dovetails to return the missing sword. That's an opening.
A new tale is told.
Okay, so there's going to be a bit of explanation for this one. But, you step out of the goblin cave. I think we've just learned something about the person who killed the previous hero. Stunned to discover a fire-blasted landscape.
Okay.
Got inspired by all the twinkling lights and thought, that's what I want to do every year.
Krim steps out of the goblin's cave to find himself in a fire-blasted landscape. How did you get here?
Walt.
Did somebody draw you here?
Yeah, the person who stole the sword from the locked room was the goblin. Was a goblin. In this
Okay,
goblin
so
camp.
by another thief, a goblin, a golbin,
A goblin,
a goblin
a goblin.
follows the tracks and retrieves the sword. But as Krim steps out of the goblin's cave to find,
Finds it all fucking fire blasting
he
shit.
finds himself in a fire-blasted landscape. Has maybe another artifact drawn him here?
Or was someone else coming on their way to find it?
Yeah, I feel the second option. He's like he's gone in. There's no fire. He goes and gets the sword. He comes back out the same way, and suddenly everything's on fire.
Everything's on fire. Another victim of the thieving goblin has burnt the surroundings of the cave.
I just want this to be the part where now Kremmer comes out with his ice powers to go against the fire.
He doesn't have ice powers. Don't be silly.
So my follow-up questions to this particular bit of narrative as Krim travels these landscapes. What is the name of the sword?
The name of the sword? How dare you ask such a question? How dare you ask what a man names his sword, John?
And it is a personal question right there. Very personal question.
Hold on. Trying to think of the name of the sword is hold on, brain dying. Let's go for
What are we going for?
the name of the sword is I don't know why I've suddenly gotten this image in my of like it's a rapier that's kind of like almost like it's made of diamonds, and it's like in a kind of almost like a spirally kind of thing. And it's going to be it's just going to be twisted diamond.
A rapier that appears to be twisted diamonds. Diamonds.
It's just twisted diamond.
Ben, can you name that sword?
Let's see. kind of feel like it needs something exactly star-based.
The Shining Star?
Shining Star sounds like a good one.
And then also, what is the name, or who is the villain that killed this hero?
As in the original.
The original villain that killed the original hero, whomst originally stole the sword.
The original. That would be Zeke Stone.
Zeke Stone.
Yep. Zeke Stone.
Boop. He is now a person.
He nicked it, and then it got nicked from him.
Zeke Stone has locked the sword away, but it has gone missing from the locked room. Okay. I'm going to turn back to the book again. And I want... I want us to look at a tale for King Casimir. Because we've got a bit of detail about King Casimir already. But let's flesh him out a little bit more, shall we? The answer is yes.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Ben, pick a number between 1 and 30.
Ooh. 29.
This will be called Crisis of Faith.
Huh.
So, faith works differently in a world where the gods routinely grant miraculous power, speak to their followers, and occasionally appear in the mortal realm, although not very frequently in ours. Believers do not struggle with questions of a god's existence, but rather its intentions or ideology. These questions will challenge your relationship with a deity. Do we want to answer those, or try something else?
For the sake of challenging against a deity, for the sake of... Okay, as an idea of rule, I want him to be kind of almost Aragonish. He does not want the crown, does not covet for the crown, but the crown is meant to be given to him by the gods, whichever god we're saying is in relation to this one. And it is more a case of he doesn't believe in the whole concept of being naturally to inherit the crown, and so believes against the faith in that regard.
So what we've already established for Casimir is that he is a charismatic king who realized it was far more important to be a symbol for the alliance of all the people than to be famous as an individual.
But as I say, when it comes down, I think that's more something which would have happened at the later part of his life. It's more something which he sort of came to realize that this was something which he should take the place of because of the amount of good he can take from that position. But to start off with, before he could believe in what he could do to help pull all of these different races together, was more along the lines of that he didn't have faith that he was the one to lead.
Okay, so the first
Even though it was given by the god. Oh, yep.
The first question on the list of questions: what deity has Casimir aligned himself with or worshipped?
I think that is a very good question. Just sort of saying that I believe that there would be effectively there'd be the deity which effectively tells him that he is destined to be, but it's not the one which he aligns himself with. I believe that he would be more inclined to align towards wisdom, and I believe that he'll probably the god which was originally in part would be more involved with power. I'm going to need a reminder on what gods we have.
Asin the Spark, Beffin the Folio of Eras, Droth the Last Breath, Deimos Holder of the Void, Evanora Keeper of the Garden, Nephali of the Dreaming, Novali the Goddess of Love, and Uana the Verdant Queen.
I believe that he would secondly come into the folio, because that is the concept of knowledge over power. That's why he wants Emberwolf back so much. He covers the knowledge rather than anything else, and understands that knowledge is a far more important side of things. So he would eventually align himself more with knowledge than he would have originally with the other one, which I would probably place down as more a case of a god of the spark and creation, effectively.
So Beffin the Folio of Eras is who he is aligned with.
Well, effectively aligns himself with through this story. Any rate, but yeah, we'll effectively before
so he's initially aligned with Asin.
So, as effectively, yeah, he would initially be aligned with Asin's probably a good fit actually, and through this changes to Bethine.
What has Asin done that Casimir considers harsh or cruel?
I think it's not so much it's harsh or cruel. It's more.
I mean, then this doesn't work for the.
Oh no, hang on. It'd probably be along the lines of the way it has been taught to him, the stories which he understands of Asin, which are more the ones who've been passed down by generations, is that the world was created as it were.
I'm going to pick another one because the questions it asks are all about like turning away from the god because.
But this is the only thing when it comes down to answer Norton's question. There is that effectively we're saying that he was meant to be in line to be the god, the king of his race, and to place it they were following a bad god's negative maybe, but not necessarily bad, is because the whole point is that they didn't come from a bad place, but they came from a place where they believe that they only had to look after themselves. And most of the other races believed the exact same thing. It was more for the sake of Casimir coming forth to actually change that mentality by saying, we have to do better, and to do better, we have to involve everyone.
Oh, I like this one.
Which is effectively something which he learns over time from effectively not being a part of this great big part that is slowly coming together. Oh, the 5 enemy. Oh, I like that.
So this is a prompt to look at the rogues gallery of your hero. So there are actually, if I remember how this works, I do that. Yes, and then I do this. So, the 5 enemies. There are 5 different enemies, and we've got 4 questions about each of them.
Okay.
The first is the Fools. This is a small recurring group of villains, a small group of recurring enemies whom you have encountered more than once in your travels. They are not a serious threat, but they do tend to get in the way.
Okay.
So, in terms of King Casimir IV of the Alliance of Casimir, what do the fools call themselves?
I'm going to say they call themselves the Brambles. Yeah, always going to be a thorn in your side. Come by us, you're going to get stuck.
Thorn in the
It's one of those
side.
things where they always sound like they're not that sincere, but at the same time, they believe wholeheartedly in what they end up saying.
Put them as a thorn in the side of authority.
I like it.
What is their most prominent flaw?
They are far too impulsive. They never really take the time to fully plan out any plan of operation.
Failing
And
to
when they
plan
do-
their operations.
And even when they do plan their operations fully, they can't stick to it thanks to their impulsivity.
Why does King Casimir never deal with them using lethal force?
For the sake of the plot which I was going with beforehand, effectively where he wasn't trying to be the king, he wanted to separate, and he's gone out and actually seen how the other side lives. Comes to realize that at no point are they actually intending to be a lethal terrorist organization or anything like that. They are actually trying to help their people, and they believe that their people are hard done by. And generally they actually have something which he admires as well, which is a unity of races, which is half the reason why he gets inspired to try and do it fully over the country, or over the he gets inspired by the fact that they don't care about the different races which they have, just more the status which they're stuck in.
The next group, or person, is the rival.
Okay.
This is someone you've faced many times who is not always an enemy.
I am going to say...
So this one isn't necessarily a group, it's probably one person.
I'm going to say it's the next person in line for the throne.
Gary.
Right. I would probably say it is a cousin of King Casimir, who I'm going to place as a name is see.
It's got to be something like Lord or Duke or Baron.
We'll go with Baron. I think Baron is a nice sound to it. Baron Drok. D-R-O-K.
I was close, I had Baron Druk. Baron Drok. What is his greatest skill?
I'm going to say that he is a fast talker. Saxophone.
Saxophonist. What is this obsession with saxophone?
He's a fast talker who knows how to twist the words of any opponent to try and make it sound like they are going for the greater evil. He knows how to ply stories and convince the public of what he believes, or what he at least wants them to believe. with a saxophone on side. Da, 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 da.
What asset does he possess that King Casimir does not?
Saxophone.
The aforementioned saxophone.
um, yeah, the saxophone would be a good one there. I'm gonna say that we're gonna give him that drive. He has the drive to become king. The one thing which Casimir doesn't want, he covets, and so has the drive to try and pull any situation to allow him to take that place.
Unlike King Casimir, Baron Droke wants to be the king.
And will do what it takes to become them.
Do what it takes to become the monarch. What makes King Casimir respect Droke?
I'm not gonna say it.
It's not his saxophone skills.
I'm going to say that it is the way that he inspires the people. Once again, it's this whole element that he's looking at that good in every situation. Even the ones who are doing wrong, he sees the good and takes that part and recognizes that that is what he needs. And he knows he needs a way to connect to the people that the Baron can do far better than he can.
I mean, I've put that they're both, like, they are both listed as charismatic characters.
Once again, as I say, going for this, the five armies being how King Casimir became King Casimir. That's why I'm sort of looking at this one. It's basically his little backstory, and the way that the little five enemies actually works out quite nicely. But basically, King Casimir doesn't believe fully in what he says, but yet inspires people regardless. He has the charisma that he doesn't understand himself, but people will follow him.
The next one's interesting for a king. The authority. This is a powerful organization or nation. It has far-reaching influences and many allies. This makes it impossible to face it directly. So what were you going to say, Ben?
I was going to say originally that it was going to go more the religion route, that it's effectively the religious order would have been trying to force this along. Though you are the king, it is ordained by gods that you are the king. You can't step down from this position. Even when you leave, you can't step down from this position.
I'm thinking it's more the.
Now you actually say that, I'm more interested in the idea of effectively maybe the avians. The avian have much more of a force for the sake of their ability to fly. But effectively, they at least appear to have a greater force, a greater power over the land.
I'm thinking then it's not the avians, because the avians are part of the alliance of Casimir.
I don't know. It's that whole element. Yeah,
we do have the raptors.
That's true.
Who are effectively the avians but evil.
True. The way I was seeing it was just in my mind that effectively the populace of the. I'm guessing we're placing Casimir's human, isn't he?
We do not know.
Oh.
And it was,
yeah, of course
it was designed to be that
exactly that we
nobody
wouldn't
knows his original race.
In which the other reason I placed that one down is just the whole idea that at least there'd be one story that He came from one of the smaller races, the ones which should not have dominance and should not be heard, and overcame it. But yeah, as you say, that doesn't quite work for the sake of this situation. Instead, there's questions, and for the sake of the background which we've got. Yeah, absolutely right. In which case, yes, the raptors make a lot more sense.
So this is the raptors, and I think we had... Did we not have a group name for the evil raptors at one point?
I can't remember.
The roots is the good guys. Where are the raptors on this thing? Learning how to use my own stuff. Avians.
I've done that too many times as well. I set this all up exactly how. Where did I put that?
Do I not have a note about the raptors on here yet?
Wow, I would.
Apparently not.
We did come into this secondary, didn't we? So maybe we came up with the idea and then came into this afterwards.
We haven't actually listed where the we don't actually have a note about the raptors yet.
We'll have to take a look into that side of things then.
So yeah, we'll have to cover that at some point. But for now, the raptors of Cravenwing, not velociraptors, Tanny.
Just raptors.
Just raptors.
Evil avians. Well, at least by perspective. I mean, goodness, that'll be something which will change, but at least by original storyline, at any rate.
What's going on here? So the evil, the raptors of Cravenwing, and I need to tag the raptors as well. Raptor is also the name of the bird. A powerful nation that stands against the forming of the Alliance of Casimir. No, that needs to go there.
Oh god, I'm starting to see how these stories could tie up. But when it came down to it, before they were fully flightable and were able to fly and take to the skies, they were more restricted to the land and perhaps came across some dark magics. But when they were kept to the land, Ka helped assist Casimir by blocking the path. I could literally start tying these stories together, which is the reason why they became the days of the week so quickly together in name.
So, what is the most frightening aspect of the raptors? Their flight, I guess. Is it their flight? Are they flying at this point?
I mean, if we place down, we are going with that story. At the moment, they are not flight. They are not able to fly as of yet.
So their numbers?
So I would say they're great numbers. The great hordes waiting in the other side of the mountain, just beyond that pass. And the fact that when it comes down, every single time they've come by, every single time we've seen even some of their scouts come by, they have ripped and tore and shred whatever happened to be in their path.
Yeah, like the Huns or the Mongolians.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about time we
And
got
whether
down
this was done as a form of effect so that, the people would just be afraid, but regardless whether it was for cause of effect or whether it was done for real, it has had that effect anyway.
Sorry, what was that, Sean?
It's about time we got down to business to defeat the raptors.
Yes, it is. Yes, indeed. What does King Casimir most detest about the Raptors' ideology? What does he most detest about the Raptors' ideology?
I'm going to say that when it comes down to the manner in which it seems to be such a thoughtless slaughter, that it is killing without cause.
The thoughtless slaughter. Slaughter. The killing without cause. I mean, the next question is, how do you recognize its handiwork?
The aftermath.
The torn apart bodies, the blood-stained houses with no corpses in them.
I would say beyond that, it's more a case of the bloodstains which are left behind and the seemingly no corpses left behind.
Yes.
If you really want to go horrific. Literally, there are signs of it, but nothing beyond that.
The work of the raptors is noticed in the lack of bodies, just bloodstains and empty, burning villages. Ah, yes. Next up.
For the sake of Norton's quick question there, no one really knows. It is believed that they are eaten. They believe that they become a food source, but no one really knows. All they know is that there are signs that they are dragged off back through
It is
to wherever
hoped that they
came.
are eaten or killed first.
Yeah.
It is hoped they are killed first and then eaten, but...
Exactly. Not knowing is far worse than actually having the answers.
Next up is the Leviathan.
Ooh.
A bestial foe of inconceivable power. It threatens large-scale destruction.
I think that's got to be the void in this case. Because let's face it, the void is effectively our version. It's the Leviathan. It's the great destroyer, which is just being held back and slowly seeping in. That's the reason why we have the different courses, the different people, the different everything which we can throw in different directions, hoping that it's the right one to try and stop it. But so far, we don't know what we need to do in order to do that.
So this is the Maelstrom to the east.
Yes.
Which is being held at bay by Deimos, the holder of the void. Let's tie things together neatly. What is the most effective way to keep what you care about safe from it?
At present, it is unknown, shy of devotion to the figure in the clouds, which is Deimos, obviously. No, I know we've got numerous different names and all that side of things. Beyond that, they have been...
And the vigilance... vigilance of the forts.
Yeah. I would also say that currently there is study, though currently unsuccessful study, being done by the Emberwolf libraries to attempt to find a solution, but nothing has been found as of yet. You know, I'm an idiot. I've got the stream up and I tried to move my mouse, realizing that it's your mouse.
Good question though.
Okay, I'm going to say that when it comes down to it, that is the reason why. Okay, not Emberwolf, though he would have set up for the fort of the Vigil and for the fort of Cassidy, but not the archives. That is the reason why he wants Emberwolf.
So we're just going with
Emberwolf being...
Emberwolf, not Ember Day. The day of the week is not studying this phenomenon.
That's the reason why he's so dire to get him back. Because that is a very good question. Yes, the libraries wouldn't exist because Emberwolf hasn't put them into...
So I'm going to say that Emberwolf is studying the phenomenon, leading to the setup of the Emberwolf
Yes.
archives.
Because it's so like Emberwolf would never have actually come up with the conclusion of, otherwise we wouldn't have the problem. But the archives are trying to carry on the...
It all comes together.
It's the best part. It's the best part, tying up the loose ends, getting it all nice and tight and beautiful.
Why is it never simple to confront the Maelstrom?
I am going to say that there is such dark and twisted magic to it that it is completely... it is a complete mystery. All they know is that anyone who gets close will die in numerous different ways, seemingly all at once. It affects people as they get close if they do not get all the way there. And for any who are brave enough, they never return.
Cool. I mean, not cool for them, but...
No. Literally the reason why when it comes down to, yes, there are forts, but they don't dare get too close. They observe and make sure that the distance is held.
And then the final of the 5 enemies is the Nemesis. This is a powerful and calculating foe, more dangerous to you than any other. Perhaps you did not start out as important to each other, but after repeated confrontations, you bear a mutual disdain for each other. I will also point out, for the sake of coming up with who this person is, all of the questions refer to a her. So is King Casimir's nemesis a female?
Okay. Going along with my original thing, which I was putting forward, King Casimir was supposed to take the throne, was supposed to become King Casimir in the original state, but decided not to, chose against it, and was supposed to have a person to make to become his wife and part of this marriage and become the queen. In his decide to instead venture forth, do whatever he was going to do, and then finally coming back to try and reclaim and bring the people together, he found another person of a different race. He found love and became bound by them instead. And so this person who was supposed to be a queen took that very personally, even from the moment that he denied his destiny, because it denied it her hers. Immediately,
So-
she wanted him back so that she could become queen, so that he would become king, so that she could have her place. Even if he didn't want it, she did.
So the point of this person, and well, this is the big bad of King Casimir's story.
Effectively, what I'm trying to get to is this person is trying to personally take down Casimir, because when it comes down to it, she felt betrayed, utterly betrayed, entirely betrayed, and believes the only recourse, the only thing which she wants now is to take him down, and will take down his legacy, will take down everything he stands for, everything that he has ever done and created.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. Slow you down a little bit at least.
Okay.
What's the person called? This is a great story. We're going to write it down. I need a name. I feel it's either princess or queen. Possibly queen.
I feel like that she sort of, I'll let you give the name. I think that she would become a self-professed queen of her people. Effectively, whether they want her or not, she is taking over their people, and because she was denied queenship through him, she is taking queenship of that, as if she has her own little mini king. So she calls herself queen, although technically she would probably be a princess. But she calls herself a queen, and her name is... We'll give this one to Tanny.
Waiting for Tanny to come back to us with a name. So, in...
There we go.
Kaliska.
Queen Kaliska.
So
like
in the Aragorn-ness of his story, King Casimir sets out and goes into the wilderness and throws away being the king.
Yes.
Roughly means coyote chasing deer.
Oh, I like it.
So
effectively, the way I want to see this,
he throws away being the king, and he goes because he thinks that he is not the person to lead the people, and so he wants to go and be amongst them, and goes on adventures and meets people, and eventually gets to the point where he realizes, oh shit, I do need to be the person being the king. When he gets back, is Queen Kaliska blocking him, or is she trying to bring him back? Because I feel that at some point he needs to sort of accept that he needs to do the thing.
I think that when it comes down to this side of things, that she, for the first part of this, she is trying to get him back. For the sake of the religions which are based around it, they tie down to, no, his king, well, you might not want to be king, but he's the one which the gods have chosen. Is the way that it works. As long as he's alive, he is king. Which also leaves a little bit for the Baron to potentially have some little play-in of trying to take out the king so he can become the next in line. But nonetheless, Kaliska is trying to get him to come back safe. You can even have a little bit where Kaliska is stopping some of the attempts of Baron Drock in trying to take him out just for the sake of bringing him back. But the problem is that on his journey, he learns about the other race, he learns about the lower people, he learns about the people, full stop. And with that, he ends up as well getting embraced and finding love in another race, realizing that the unity is more important, and thus makes a proclamation that when it comes down to that, he will take the kingship that he understands he needs to be, and will instead, to show this unity, will be the first proper union under a god which he follows instead of the old, which loses the queen her chance. which is why she then goes instead to trying to tear down everything that he created, because he changed everything and took away everything she was due, everything she was supposed to have, everything she coveted for.
Right, I think I got the essence of that down.
I think the key part is that he never actually intended to hurt her or harm her in any way, but in actions which led to a better tomorrow, he inadvertently did without realizing.
So, the three questions, and we might need to adjust some of that story to fit with some of these. What is the most devastating blow that Queen Kaliska has dealt to King Casimir?
I would say that the pretty most devastating one I can possibly think of is effectively her going on a tirade after losing her queenship. As a quick one to answer to Norton there, I would say the new queen, the other queen, which we will also need a name for. Tanny, if you can come up with another name for someone who's taken the place and could be any of the races, absolutely throw one into the chat. But yeah, the other queen he fell in love with. He believed that when it came down to it, it would also be a key part for bringing the ties. For the sake of Queen Kaliska, it was an arranged marriage. It wasn't something which was love-based. It was protocol. So to jump back now to the greatest thing that she did, she ended up to try and ruin to absolutely try and ruin everything which he had built up. She tried to start a war between the races, between everything, and by doing so, effectively slaughtered at least a village of one of these races, and tried to disguise it as best as she could to be that it was whoever this was, and that it was the Unity, the Alliance, who caused this under his name, which was proven wrong later down the line, but it did cause a huge rift to start off with, because it was still early days and trust wasn't fully ignited yet. And so it didn't take much to try and ruin things, but luckily, with wisdom and with time, they managed to prove themselves once again. That's true. I mean, having that, there is a little bit of love there. It's not that he didn't love her. Oh, that's a fair point then, Norton. That is a very fair point. For the sake of it story-wise, that's a very good one. But he did it for sacrificing his love for the sake of the Union. Mind you, I would almost place that one down that as more a secret. But maybe in that case, Kaliska knows the truth and is trying to get him back, even if it means destroying everything he made.
The next question: what is the most humiliating defeat that Queen Kaliska has suffered at the hands of King Casimir?
I'm going to say that when it came for that side of things, in efforts to try and quell the rampage and to quell this huge race war which was starting to reignite, even though the Union had only begun, but this one spark had almost brought it down in direct connection. He had to make a stand, he had to make a point, but didn't want to go about killing. He wanted to try and prove a point that these are once again people trying to do the best for them. So he decided to go for a what he took to be a better option, and exiled them from the land entirely. But he made sure that Kaliska was not allowed to go with them. Kaliska was to be held.
So who's he exiling? Sorry.
So Kaliska's people, the ones who followed Kaliska.
So who is Kaliska's people?
That is another very good question. Once again, for the sake that we don't want to particularly say which ones they say, we will say that they are the. I'm trying to think of something which is neutral of all the races, so you can't really say which one it was. How about we end up calling them? We'll call them the cliff side dwellers, because that could be pretty much any of them, so long as they weren't that high up and one or the other and such forth. But the cliffside dwellers could potentially change that name to something better later on, but for the time being that'll do for at least giving them a place. But effectively, where they came from is now abandoned. There's nothing left, and all that is allowed to stay there is Queen Kaliska, whose imprisonment is kept there so that she is reminded of what has happened. Not that she stayed there, not that she didn't get out and didn't convince and use her own little power, and not to say that the entirety of the Cliffside Dwellers didn't stay exiled, as it were. But it would have been the greatest blow just for the sake of literally taking the power of the people or her power away.
The final question: why must King? Well, I mean, we've covered it really. I think the alliance would fall if King Casimir doesn't defeat Queen Kaliska.
Pretty much, yes, Nelson. That's it. Anyone who doesn't go by Casimir would rally under her banner. It's the reason why she doesn't stay in prison.
And who? I'm just gonna make a note of this bit. To expand on. Could she take the title of an ancient kingdom that no longer exists to convey power and nobility?
I would say as well, when it came down to, for the sake of continuing what we end up saying when it came down to Emberwolf, that there was a reason why he asked him to be taken down entirely, but it pains Kaliska so much more. Going by the story, which is, I'm loving what you've written down, to be fair, that the king's death would effectively destroy her for a point and twists her so much that she's not exactly sure what she wants to follow afterwards. Because what I wanted to put forward for the sake of carrying on from Emberwolf's story was for the sake of the stone he came across, is that King Casimir was revived by that stone, but then gave up the throne. He'd already achieved everything. He didn't need to carry on afterwards and just basically retired.
I think we will expand on those in times when we're not on stream and I'm not writing in front of an audience.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to expand on the thoughts that Norton has, our Norton has put into the chat, because I've taken the notes of, could she take the title of an ancient kingdom that no longer exists to convey power and authority, and is it possible she ultimately does kill him, but the idea of the Union persists, and that's his ultimate victory? Yes, I filter both of those, and also, as Ben says, he gets returned with the Vorthir. but renounces the kingdom and
I will chuck in one quick thing because Laws just pointed something out to me. For the sake of the cliffside dwellers,
yes.
a better name I want to go for is the Cliffsiders. For the sake it comes with a bit more of an ominous presence. It doesn't sound as they just happen to live there. They are the Cliffsiders.
King Casimir exiled the Cliffsiders, the people who followed Queen Kaliska, but kept her imprisoned. So, I think that's a good time to wrap up this podcast and episode of the Council of Tamrinor, which means I'm going to stretch real quick for no reason whatsoever, podcast listeners. I'm going to say in the podcast, thank you guys so much for listening to this little experiment. If this works out well, you might see more of these. If it doesn't, you might not see this one. Who can say?
But to be fair, they wouldn't see it anyway. They're listening.
If you hear this, it went well. And then I'm going to stop that recording and I'm going to outro the podcast. Thank you guys in the chat so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do hit that follow button. It's a great way for you guys to know we go live and a completely free way that you can support us on the channel. We have a Discord that you can join where you can chat with us about the games that we've been playing and the things such as the world that we are building. And if you have any ideas that you want to throw into the Discord about Tamrinor, there is a space for that. If there are any questions you want to bring up in the Discord about Tamrinor or the things that we have discussed in building the world, there is a space for you to do that on Discord. So head over to the Discord and let us know things. Chat with us or just say hello. We're nice, honest. We also have a YouTube that you can go to see all of our previous videos, including all of the previous world building episodes where you can see this twisting web of things expanding and expanding outwards, and slowly things tying together, and when we're off stream and I write up some more of the things that we've discussed tonight, some more of these dots will connect by the next time you see this web. We also have a website, www.finalbossfight.co.uk, that you can go to find all of the written stuff, the FBF Podcast Network, that might soon have a new podcast on it, and might soon have better sounding D&D podcasts on it, which would be cool in my opinion. You can also from there find the Discord and the YouTube that I've already mentioned, and we are now going to go to the credits screen and we're going to look at what is coming up in the next 7 days or so on the streams.
7 days.
Tomorrow on the Angel Games player channel, Angel is going to struggle to play Trails in the Sky. On Sunday night, Dungeon of the Mad Mage continues as the group make their way through the Twisted Caverns and try to find out what is happening on this level of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. On Monday night, Angel is yelling at monsters in Genshin Impact, and then later on the FBF channel, the Light of Xerxes campaign continues as the group tries to deal with Topola in Topola's Tower. On Tuesday night, Sean and myself are continuing the adventures of Aurelius Carnelian and Roswin, with possible extra guest star in the form of my brother, who has just got Baldur's Gate 3. On Wednesday night, Angel is failing at Star Rail, Ben, are you playing anything on Wednesday this week?
To be fair, I might be having a little mix around. I know actually playing on something on Monday. We're doing a test stream. We are going to try and involve 3 people in playing a game of Raft.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
So stay
More
tuned
details
for
on that one
that.
later. Yeah.
But then later on Wednesday night, we have FBF Craft V3, where this next week I want to start putting together some of the create contraptions to automate some of the things. We're going to get a tree farm going, and we're going to try and get a kelp farm going.
Also, that's the other side of things. I am going to get the Minecraft, so I'm sorry, potentially try and turn that into a Minecraft Wednesday, so I can join you guys.
That would also be cool. On Thursday, Angel is going to be playing Yakuza 0. And then Friday next week is probably a thing.
I hope, otherwise the week's gone entirely.
It's clipped off the bottom of my stream, and I don't know if there is a stream next Friday. Tune in later to find out when we have one of these other streams, and that will have popped up the list somewhat. We only have 9 spaces here right now, so that they're visible and readable. We are, however, now going to do a raid.
Ooh, where are we raiding today, John?
Where are we raiding today? Today we are going to raid. Let's raid Spammels.
Yeah, hey.
Who is
I
playing?
love Spammels.
Who is playing Skull and Bones?
Skull and bony skulls,
Bones and
scully bone,
skulls. Rock
funny
and
bony,
stone.
bony scully bone, rock and stone. Duh.
Go give Spammels some love. We'll see you guys again real soon. For now, so long. Bye, guys.
Good night. Bye-bye.